After 920 days in jail, nearly 4 years when factoring in the 1.5 credit for time served, Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick will wait nearly 2 more weeks to hear their sentence on mischief and firearms-related charges stemming from their actions at Coutts, Alberta during the border blockade in February 2022.
The stories of how it's ripped their families and their sons and their mothers apart, and it's just horrible. It's so dragged out.
Today was a full day of sentencing arguments for Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick, 2 of 4 men originally charged with conspiracy to commit murder, mischief, and weapons-related charges after a major police operation in Coutts, Alberta in February 2022. It was all part of a series of nationwide anti-mandate and anti-COVID demonstrations occurring simultaneously with the Freedom Convoy taking place in the nation's capital in Ottawa. To learn more about this trial and to support our independent journalism, please go to truckertrials.com. Chris Lysak and Jerry Moran were 2 of the 4 men as well. They previously pled guilty to weapons charges at the Lethbridge courthouse behind me, and they were released with time served. I asked some of the supporters here today, approximately 40 of them in the courtroom ongoing, what they thought about the series of delays in this trial and now this series of delays in the sentencing. Take a listen.
I think it's terrible for me. I have to go back to Ontario on Tuesday, so I won't be able. I've been here this long, but now I won't be able to come back, so it kind of sucks, and it sucks for the boys. So
I think, again, the process is the punishment, for sure. We were scheduled back in for tomorrow for the whole day. I think that Justice Lebrenz could have taken the morning until 2 o'clock and had us come back at that time and done sentencing until 6. We've been in here till 6 p.m. before. We've come in later before. So I just don't know why these men need to suffer anymore.
The stories of how it's ripped their families and their sons and their mothers apart, and it's just horrible. It's so dragged out. And I know what it was like at those rallies.
It was a full day in court today with prosecutor Stephen Johnstone making the case to Justice David Lebrenz that a fair and just sentence for the duo would be 9 years in custody on the weapons offenses, a lifetime prohibition for firearms ownership for Chris Carbert, and a minimum of 10 years firearms prohibition for Olienick. Whereas defense counsel for Olienick, Marilyn Burns, and defense counsel for Carbert, Catherine Bayek, are arguing for sentences between 2.5 years and 3.5 years, which, when given credit for 1.5 days per each day held in pretrial custody, well, that would amount to time served, meaning the men should be released immediately. Court heard today that Carbert, though convicted of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose, never actually brandished the weapon, never bragged to anyone about the weapon, and peacefully surrendered himself to police as the last of the 4 to be arrested. The judge also heard today that Carbert was the sole custodial parent for his son since the child was 9 months old, and seeing his son these last 2.5 years has been all but impossible. The judge also remarked on the sheer volume of supportive reference letters provided on behalf of Anthony Olienick from members of the community, including his spiritual mentor. Justice Lebrenz ruled on Tuesday that he accepts the verdicts as proof the jury believed both men brought weapons, ammunition, and body armor to the 2-week standoff at Coutts, not just to show off or to hunt animals, but for a more sinister purpose. It was to support the blockade and to engage in a war with police if it came to that eventuality, Lebrenz said. The abundance of live ammunition, the medical kit, the ballistic vests are not supportive of showing off firearms or hunting coyotes. They are supportive of a war with police. Now, a little bit about the judge that has not been widely reported. Justice Lebrenz, in his career as a prosecutor, was the prosecutor on the file of the Mayerthorpe, Alberta shooting of 4 Mounties by James Roscoe nearly 2 decades ago. Roscoe killed himself after a standoff with police. However, 2 men, Dennis Cheeseman and Sean Hennessy, pled guilty to manslaughter for giving Roscoe the gun he used in the shooting. Cheeseman received a 7.5-year sentence, and Hennessy received 10 for his role in the shooting. To put that into context, that's comparable to what the Crown is asking for Carbert and Olienick, and 4 police officers died in that Roscoe shooting. Today, Justice Lebrenz asked Crown Counsel if he was arguing for the judge to sentence Carbert and Olienick for a shootout that never actually happened. Now, Rebel News will be back here on September 9th for the sentencing by Justice Lebrenz, with the delay caused in part by what was described as a, quote, avalanche of submissions by Olienick's lawyer, Marilyn Burns. To see our reporting and to support our independent journalism on the ground here in Lethbridge, please go to truckertrials.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Rebel News has been here from the very beginning, from the initial formation of the blockade at Coutts to the bitter end as we see the trials through. To support our independent journalism and to see all of our coverage, please go to truckertrials.com.